Welcome back to the channel, and here is our wrap-up of the French weekend of rugby. Round 2 in the top 14, round 3 in Pro D2, and all sorts of other stuff going on besides. If you appreciate the content, drop a little thumbs up on the video. Joe Worsley, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm really good. I enjoyed the weekend's rugby. Pro D2, we'll see later. Some exciting tries, amazing tries, but also some incredible ones in the top 14 as well. Sat down, watched the whole game last night. A little bit shocked by Bordeaux, to be honest, to start with. Of all the things that happened this weekend, that was disappointing, to say the least, for a club I still very much love.
Yeah, UBB, the scoreline looks more respectable than it was. There was a couple of orange cards and a yellow card and some late tries, but at one point, Bordeaux were 44 points to 8 down against Racing 92. They are without Matthew Jalabert, Rohan Janzi van Rensburg, Romain Burros. Jean-Luc Deprier hasn't joined up with the squad yet. No Yoram Moafana, but still more than enough talent. They must be looking at that performance and some eyebrows must be being raised.
Yeah, I think, looking like they were not motivated, and that's the thing Bordeaux haven't done for a long time. Yannick Breu's a fantastic manager, getting them firing all cylinders. You had a lot of people playing rugby there, haven't played a huge amount of rugby. You've got a very young fullback who made numerous errors and got subbed at half time. That was a big part of it. But there were 4 errors, 4 kind of turnovers, or 4 poor passes, 4 interceptions, and then moments of brilliance from Racing.
Not least the new signing from Brive, Leo Carbonneau.
Showed what he can do. He's got an incredible talent. Then he got orange carded later, showed his other side where he's got to mature.
He got a yellow and an orange, so he spent 30 minutes of the match. 30 minutes of the match off. When he was on, he looked dynamite.
Yeah, he's got an incredible gift. But like I say, he's gonna sink or swim, isn't he? In the top 14, he's got this talent, this amazing talent. He's got to drill down on that and understand what he can and can't do, because he'll be disappointed after the game with the penalties, and the orange and the yellow he did get were a little bit daft. So he'll be disappointed with that. But no, but going back to Bordeaux, the motivation it's really strange. They had a lot of success last year. They put a lot of effort into last year. The year before, again, motivated all the time. They went to Van. They went 29, 30 points down against Van to 0. They came back and won that game. A big kind of turning point for them last season in terms of the second team going up and showing the depth they had. Now, this game here, they went 4 tries down, and I think that shell-shocked a lot of them. And you're missing someone like Luku in and around the squad. He's gone up to watch, but a real leader like him has gone now. Jan Lesgourg left last year, went to Biarritz. So they've got Paige Rello come in, who's a newbie. Carberry doesn't speak French, who's started at fly half. Jeff Parot was playing. So you had some talented guys in there. But again, they didn't look physical up front. They got a bit dominated up front. And then behind the scenes, they made 18 errors. 18 turnovers is huge. Just not successful enough. But listen, it wasn't all one-sided. Bordeaux dominated possession and dominated territory. Against La Rochelle, they were dominated. A couple of moments of brilliance. A couple of players, Pedrello, Jalibert, pulled a rabbit out of a hat and made a try. We talked last week about how La Rochelle were actually a bit disappointed at the end of that game. Now, Bordeaux would flip this round. Whilst it looked like they were dominated by Racing, and to an extent on the scoreboard they actually would have had probably more opportunities to score. They had more possession, more territory, 61% territory, 63 or 4% possession. The stats are so one-sided like that. Normally, that team would win by the scoreline that Racing won by. It's just a bizarre game in terms of those. They went away with 4 tries, and then Bordeaux couldn't, because of those 18 turnovers. That shows the level of skill level they had. Even great players dropping the ball on the line. I think Deporter, a sitter, he'll score any day of the week. Got given easiest try he's going to score this year, and even he dropped it. So for some reason, they just Deporter, Jeff Parot, a little bit under their normal level. Jeff Parot again dropped the ball on the line. He could have scored. And then the young guys behind them just didn't show enough leadership to drag him out of a hole and get him into that game. It was a worrying moment for Bordeaux.
Flip it round and just look at Racing, who have been a bit of a basket case the last few years. As you've talked about before, they've stripped back their squad, spending a bit less. They've pulled up some players from Pro D2, Carbonneau being one, and they looked. You have to. Well, they won the game. You have to say they looked a little bit more motivated. And It's interesting. Like Hobosi's been moved into 13, and him and Naituvi really combine well on the edges for Racing. And are they playing a little bit more? Are they playing a bit looser?
I think they scored some lovely tries, but that came from turnover and kind of those moments where the French are really good. Carbonneau, for example, very, very good in those
Max Spring
situations.
as well got his hat trick.
Max Spring, my God, he sees it, smells a chance, doesn't he? He's not an amazing athlete, is he? He's pretty good, but he's not a freak. And he just smells opportunities and plays nicely off Carbonneau. So the opportunities came because turnovers or errors, and it was fast ball and it was a bit disorganised. And Racing just nailed it. Now, there's something else going on here, though. The reason a lot of those mistakes happen is Racing were very, very motivated. They were some of the tackles they put in. The Ligi, who's playing centre for them now, Manu or Manu, he put in a hit.
Johnny Manu, yeah,
He smoked his opposition number. I think it was a big ball carrier was carrying Gaetan Barlow, French third choice hooker, really good ball carrier, one of the most powerful ball carriers. Coached him at Cast, one of the principal ball carriers for the team. He got absolutely nailed by Manu, and the ball popped out, ended up with a try down the other end, one of the first 4 tries they scored. But that intensity that Racing brought to that game is due to their coach. Colazo's a guy who really motivates his players. He gets a very close relationship with his players. The rugby side of things is left a bit at times. It's more about motivating your players and getting them up for the game. That's a very French old school way of doing this. Now, it's really difficult to maintain that for the whole season. So you see these massive highs like Racing had against Bordeaux, where they came out flying, so motivated, chasing everything down, giving their all, trying their hardest. What often happens at the other side of that, you can crash. So next week, can they maintain that level? The week before, they weren't great. Okay, they went up to that level. So that's how you end up with these teams coming up, coming down. At home, really super motivated. Away from home, having a bit of a breather, and then getting up again. That's one of the areas where that French old school mentality can take grip, and Colazo can do that very well. He can motivate his players, and he certainly did a good job there because they came out the blocks flying.
Interesting to see. It was a win for La Rochelle and for Ronan O'Gara. Is 2 new signings, one of them who Carbonneau has replaced. Nolan LeGarrette got a try, Nini Ashvili as well, but they both got late scores. Paul Boudehont playing at lock. What does it look like from La Rochelle?
It's really interesting. There's a few teams we were talking about earlier, Tim, trying to play a bit more rugby. La Rochelle are one of them. Everyone's realising you've got to score more points now. So these teams before, which were pressure teams, would crush the opposition, which is a game plan that worked really well in the playoffs, especially when the nerves come on and it gets tired to you playing against better teams. However, most teams are getting better at that side, but some teams are brilliant at attacking, Bordeaux, Toulouse being 2 of them. So teams are realising to beat Toulouse and Bordeaux, you're going to have to score more. So they're beginning to try and loosen off how they play. That's the wrong word. They're trying to be able to play faster at the right moments. And players like LeGarrette can make a huge difference to this. LeGarrette and Aldrich together are 2 players. We'll release a video about it in a minute, but they can be running to a ruck situation. One of their teammates or an English counterpart might be just going in and clearing that ball out, or not reading it as quickly as someone like Aldrich and LeGarrette, because they can read it, that Aldrich can see that I'm not needed to clear out here, I'm going to pick and play this ball, and LeGarrette can read what he's going to do and anticipate what he's going to do and then be running off him already somewhere. So basically Aldrich can take out an extra defender, then LeGarrette's in motion like you see Dupont doing all the time, running in behind that defensive line, waiting for someone to jump out, waiting for a hole he can go through, or waiting for a defender to come towards him and put someone else through the hole. This is kind of where teams want to go in France, to be able to accelerate the game at the right moment. And La Rochelle are trying to do that, is evident. It helped at the weekend. Clermont's discipline went towards the end and they went down to 13 players, which is very hard. Because before that, it was a very tight game. So it's hard to make a judgment call about how successful La Rochelle are being at that. But again, this is something that comes on after months of getting better at it. It's not something that happens overnight. Nini Ashvili will give them incredible situations at which they can accelerate the ball due to his counter-attacking ability, his high ball ability. He'll give them these moments. And if he gets the moment where there's a bit of space, he can absolutely open them up. But LeGarrette is the key to it all. He's a 9 who can smell what's happening, accelerate the play at the right moment. He's a great signing for La Rochelle. God knows how much they paid him.
In terms of the big money merry-go-round as well, Leon lost Niniashvili, but signed Zuita Wainiqolo from Toulon, and man alive, did he do some things
Yeah, yeah.
against Montauban. 25-18 win for Leon away at Montauban. On that one try that was just completely all him, he did our boy Bosfiel in the 5 meter channel.
Yeah. Yeah, Bosfiel's not that quick. He'd done the winger before who looked similarly slow. I think
Yeah.
they were setting off speed cameras in Montauban because he is unbelievable once he gets going. He'll do that once a game at least and often finish it off.
Well, he did it twice in this one. So the try for Yosefa Marzi was basically all Vainicolo. He is outrageous.
He's so quick. I don't think he's as good as Niniashvili purely because of that aerial ability that Niniashvili has. Wainiqolo can drop in and out of games a bit. But on the flip side, he will bring you those moments every game. So he's got some X factor. Toulon have lost, so he's somebody now. Leon will have that instead. But Leon's still stuttering, we could say, at the start of their season, but they'll be happy with an away win at a very, very difficult place probably this year to go and play in terms of the atmosphere and the aggression. But playing against a team who have a squad that's significantly weaker than everyone else, most teams will go there expecting to win.
And yeah, well, Vainicolo leaves just to continue the merry-go-round. Vainicolo leaves. That leaves more game time and opportunity for Gael Dreyan, who that try that he scored in what was a really tight and tense game. And I think Cast will be coming away kicking themselves that they didn't kind of close that one out. They had opportunities. 16-12 it finished. Toulon just hanging on and having enough. But that was the moment of class from this game.
Yeah, the scrum launch just gave him a bit of space. I think the Cast players... He's relatively new to me, so I haven't seen that much of him play yet. But he broke, I think, 3 tackles, and the players were quite close.
Big fend on their 13, forget the name, but big fend on him.
Yeah. He's big fend, but he looked like his leg power... He looked phenomenal there. So if that's true and that's a good indication of the strength he has, then he could be a very interesting player for the future. Obviously, he's GIF, so that does help in terms of an issue Toulon did have last year. One of the reasons they would let someone like Wainiqolo go a bit is because they've got young players like him coming up. If that's the case, it's a good decision.
2 narrow defeats for Cast. They lost to Section Paloise in round 1 by 2 points, and they've lost by 4 points away at Toulon. So they'll want to start getting some momentum soon. But Pau, meanwhile, 2 from 2, and comfortably put Stade Francais away. Full 5 points.
Yeah, Pau's start to the season. I mean, an injury time win, wasn't it? The penalty at the end against Cast got them over the line. And then they put away Stade Francais. Now, 2 different starts to the year. I mean, Cast could have had 2 victories there. Pau could have had 2 losses. No, well, 1 loss, one easy victory at home. And the momentum and confidence in the team be radically different. Sport's amazing, isn't it? Sport's amazing at how those moments, that penalty from Pau doesn't happen. That someone tackles Green, he goes down, and Cast win the game in Toulon. They've had an amazing start to the year. They're flying. They're on a high. Instead, now, this week, there's going to be pressure. The fans are going to be putting up posters. There'll be just immense pressure on the team to perform and to win this week, to get off to a good start. If there's any kind of issue this week, it's going to be some nervous people around, because the week after they go to Toulouse, which for anybody who knows Cast Toulouse, local derby, the people in Cast go crazy for that game. When I was there, they put up a big sign about 50 metres long, 10 metres high on the training grounds saying, if you don't front up this week, don't come back to Cast. So
wow.
you got to be... they really are passionate about it. They really are. And it was incredible. I think we actually won that game. Not because of the fans, I don't think, but hey, that was part of it for the motivation. So Castor off the bad one. Pau, off to a flyer. I mean, they've chugged away the last few years, in and around getting into the playoffs, but not quite managed it. I think they've not quite managed it because they've not quite had that tough edge of being able to win pressure games and put people away. They've had that talent that can score tries at any moment. they've had that for a few years now. And again, they're a team who are going the other way from La Rochelle probably. They're maybe a bit over organised than before, but they just weren't as good as that La Rochelle side of the game. Physicality, pressure game. So if they're improving there. It'd be great because it would be wonderful to see him get more involved after a promising couple of years. And the talent they've got in their backline is jaw dropping.
But Bayonne are another one of the teams. There's 5 teams that have got 2 wins from 2. Bayonne being another one with the last minute, well, a couple of minutes on the clock when Joris Sagon knocked over the winning points against Montpellier. They weren't totally convincing. They're not as fluent in attack. There are moments from guys like McCalla in the back line. They can always do special things, but yeah, you've already pointed out there's going to be a big Cami Lopez shaped hole in that team.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about recognising when it's on and accelerating the play. That was Bayonne's USP last year and the year before because they did quite well both those years. So if someone like Cami Lopez and players who react to him on the squad, but now you got Sagon. Sagon's a very different player. He's almost English in his approach to rugby as a 10. Doesn't attack the line as nearly as much as Cami Lopez. He won't accelerate the play. He won't be able to recognise the opportunities that Cami Lopez could through anticipating what's coming down the line, being in the right place and going for it. Obviously, the team needs to support him. Now, Sagon's different. He'll change the team and how they play. Obviously, Cami Lopez is coaching there. The team want to maintain their style. But Sagon's is not Cami Lopez, so it's going to be difficult. Listen, he brings other things. He can kick the ball 80 metres. He can kick far more successfully than Cami Lopez could. So there are strengths to having Sagons in the team as well. It's just he's going to have to step up a bit and change what he does. And we would do that at his age, I'm not sure. Or they try and sign somebody who can.
The final result in the top 14, no surprise that Stade Toulousain put away Perpignan 31-13 at home. Excuse me, at home, even missing a bunch of players.
Yeah, they got a rocket as well from Moller because he was very disappointed with the level of the performance. Felt that it wasn't up to standard. Montpellier are playing them next week at home. Chatting to Billy, he's a bit nervous because obviously they're very disappointed with their start of the season, losing at home to Toulon, just losing to Bayonne. We talked again, the difference between is minute between being confident and not confident, but it can lead to bad things at the start of the season. And this is the key moment for Montpellier. They're going to have to come out emotionally. I think you're going to see a team that's going to be flying at the weekend, but Toulouse are going to come there disappointed with their last performance, and great sides don't do 2 bad performances in a row. They need to, I'm sure with the talent they have, they'll come down there and that will be an interesting game this weekend, that's for sure.
One question I've got before we get on to Pro D2, the 12 position for France, with the England have announced their squad this week, a little training squad getting together, which gives an indication of who will be playing in November. France have got some big games, not least that one against the Springboks, kind of revenge mission for 2023. That's going to be a spicy match, that one. Maybe, there's a lot of talk about South Africa, New Zealand the other week at Eden Park. France, South Africa's got the potential to be the biggest game of the year.
Yeah. South Africa changed a lot of people's opinions last weekend about where they're going. France, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to do, where they're going to go.
The 12 position, Joe, because or you'd be thinking Yoram Moefana kind of made that jersey his own a little bit and was brilliant in the Six Nations. He's not going to be available. Gael Fickou hasn't played yet this season. There's a way to go yet. I don't know what his status is, but let's just say for a second those 2 are out. Jonathan Danty's been off the scene for a while, but is starting at La Rochelle in the 12 jersey. The other centres, Pierre-Louis Barassi, Emilien Gaeton, and Nicolas Deportier, all 13s primarily. If you didn't have Fickou or Moefana, what would your midfield be?
Yeah, I mean, there's always Jalibert and Natamak you could chuck in the mix. There's another option there, but Natamak can tackle, but he's not a big physical guy, and Jalibert's not great in D. So against South Africa, I'm not sure. Other than the names you mentioned, there's some guys who went on tour last year. We talked about before, Derek Herrera, Claremont, but again, he's not
Teo
always playing. Not always
Teo
playing.
Mille. Yeah, Teo Mille at Lyon
Yeah,
as well.
they're back in that situation they were before Mofana stuck his hand up and said, "This is my position." He was really became and developed season before last. Towards the end of it, I think the Six Nations, he was bam, it's me. And last year, definitely me. So now we're back to that situation where we're not sure who the next backup is, because Gaetan didn't really put his hand up in New Zealand enough. We can say that safely. Barassi again didn't really get a chance in the summer because he had such a wonderful season last year. I'm sure he'll be playing. Definitely be playing, but it depends if they're both injured or just Mafana.
Because it is interesting. It is interesting when you look through the top 14, the number of players from abroad that are playing in that 12 jersey is quite similar to the situation in the Premiership in England.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? How there aren't many. I'm trying to think English 12s.
Well, Seb Atkinson's coming through at Gloucester and
Mr. Bronco.
Yeah. But like, just for example, there's Manu Tuilangi and Carl Martin were the 12s in the Bayonne Montpellier game. Both, neither of them French, and it's a similar story when you go around. So it's just an interesting one to watch. Interesting one to watch. The French 12 options for November. So watch this. We'll have to keep an eye on it. Johnny Manu and someone else you've already mentioned. Again, not French. It's just potential issue for Gaultier if Fickou isn't back. So we'll keep an eye on that one. But let's talk about Pro de Deux. You said you spoke to Billy. I wonder what his brother was thinking with Van going down.
Yeah, I thought they'd win that one. Really surprised. I'm really surprised after what they did with 14 guys for 60 minutes at Brive. Really surprised they didn't see that game through. I think they rested a few more players and changed it up a bit more. That's for sure. So you're beginning to see now it's a big block of games. So 1 or 2 preseason games, and then you got to play 6 on the bounce. It's a big block of games. So you're beginning to see a little bit of rotation. A team like Van, they got a good squad, top 14 squad probably still, you could say. So that's probably why they would expect to go down to one of the weaker teams in the league and win, but 2 points shy.
Great win for result of the week for Mont de Marsan, getting a last minute clock in the red, winning penalty as well. It's fantastic. Yeah. But there's no team that is 100%, and there's only one team that hasn't won a game. It's shaping up to be a really, really competitive season.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting. Looking at the teams we identified as being the teams that are probably going to come through and win it. We talked about Van already. Brive are at the top at the moment, but by no means hitting our straps. You've got Oyonnax, who've had a pretty shaky start to the season, to say the least. Yeah. Really ropey. Provence, again, really ropey, trying to find their way. You got new staff in there trying to play a new way, but yeah, they're a bit scratchy. They won really easy against Biarritz. Biarritz have been diabolical in the couple of games they've had away from home.
And the other team you mentioned was Grenoble, who got it handed to them by Agen.
Yeah, and again, they put out their third choice 10, who had a diabolical game. A couple of the players didn't play well, some of the more experienced players. So, again, the strength of your squad is vital in this championship. It's vital in the top 14 as well. It's a long, long season. When you're deep into these blocks, especially this first blocks, I think it's even longer in the top 14. It's a long spell of games, and you've really got to have a good squad. The squad is vital to what you do, which is why having more money is important. There are controls on salaries and budgets, but in Pro D2, the difference between the top and bottom is probably more exaggerated in the top 14 in terms of playing salaries. And that's why certain teams like Dax, like Aurillac, like Mont de Marsan, away from home and deep into these blocks, they're going to struggle a lot more. But in the top 14, the differences are less major apart from Montauban this year. But then they can spend what we can define as shed loads of money, the top teams, on looking after those players well, having enough staff to do everything they need, which does make a huge difference as well.
Our live game on Thursday night at 8 p.m. is Grenoble against Nevers.
Yeah.
So Nevers can play when they turn it on. They're 2 wins from 3. Same as Grenoble, who'll be favourites at home. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun this year.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
enjoying it.
they're in our dark horses category because they got a good
Yeah.
budget. Last year, the coach got changed, so they've now got a new coach in, and one of the things they wanted to do was to be able to play more, open up how they play, to score more points, like we talked about. They just couldn't do it last year. It looks like confidence-wise, they got these victories in the bag. They're going to go to Grenoble. This is the moment. Will they take the bin juice or will they put a decent side out? Their squad's okay because they got a decent budget. But for example, Grenoble are going to be rabid for this match. They're going to be so pissed off about what happened in that last game. I think you're going to see a reaction in this match. Nevers might predict that and think, okay, we're going to send the binges up to this one and then save our team for next week to see what happens next week. This is where it gets a bit tactical and sometimes you get these situations.
At what point does the weather start drawing in? Because I've been out coaching a team today and it was absolutely hammering it with rain, but it still looked quite nice over the weekend in France.
Yeah, I think you compare Aix-en-Provence and Manchester, the climate's pretty different. In Nevers, for example, I think and Van, the weather's going to hit earlier. It's that much further north.
Yeah, right.
So, but no, not really. I think December. So January, February is normally a bit poor weather-wise. It can be quite nice in the months around those two.
Good. So we've got a bit more running rugby to come. And as I say, our next appointment is Thursday night. There'll be loads of content between now and then. As Joe mentioned, if it's not already up in the channel, you need to check back soon for his little breakdown of La Rochelle. Very, very interesting, and loads more like that coming. So hit subscribe, drop a little thumbs up on the video, help us grow, and we'll see you Thursday night for some live rugby.